Apply a generous helping of epoxy on a small metal patch and seal the breach. I have to hold it for considerably more than 5 minutes before it sets. Epoxy takes a long time to set when it's cold, and the bulkhead is below freezing at that spot thanks to the leak. I considered getting a heat gun from the lab, but that's a lot of work. I just hold the patch for longer. It takes about 15 minutes. I climb back down and wince the whole time. My arm hurts nonstop now. It's a constant sting. It's been less than an hour, but the painkillers aren't doing the job anymore. Computer. Painkillers. Additional dose available in 3 hours and 4 minutes. I frown. Computer, what is the current time? 7:15 p.m. Moscow Standard Time. Computer, set time to 11 p.m. Moscow Standard Time. Clock set complete. Computer. Painkillers. The arms hand me a package of pills and a bag of water. I gobble them down. What a stupid system. Astronauts trusted to save the world but not to monitor their painkiller doses? Stupid. Okay, it's been long enough. I turn my attention back to the box. First, I'll need to drill a hole in the xenonite, and that's where all hell will break loose if things go bad. The general idea here is for the drill inside the box to put a hole in the xenonite and for the box to contain the pressure that rushes in, but you never know. The box might not be held on tight enough. I wear a medical breathing mask and eye protection. If there's going to be a jet of superheated high-pressure ammonia in this room, I need to not die from it. Earlier, I filed down a metal rod to be sort of a spike. The full radius is a little bigger than the drill bit I have readied in the steel box. I hold the spike and hammer at the ready. If the pressure blows the box off, I'll hammer the spike into the hole and hope it plugs the gap. Of course, the pressure might not blow the box off entirely. It might just spurt out around the edges of the glue joint. If that happens, I'll have to smack the box with the hammer until it comes off, then drive in the spike. Yes, it's ridiculously dangerous, but I just don't know if Rocky will survive without help. Maybe I'm being emotional instead of rational, but so what? I clench the hammer and spike, then I activate the drill. It takes so long for that drill to get through the xenonite, I actually calm down out of boredom. It's only 1 centimeter, but it's like trying to grind down diamond. I'm lucky the drill bit is hard enough to do anything at all. The camera feed from inside shows slow and steady progress. Instead of drilling like wood or metal, this is more like glass. It breaks off in chips and chunks. Finally, the bit breaches to the other side. It is immediately launched back into the box and bent sideways by the pressure. There's a whump as iridian air rushes into the little box. I squint my eyes. Then after a few seconds, I open them again. If the box was going to blow off, it would have done so right then. My seal held. For now, anyway. I breathe a sigh of relief. But I don't take the mask or goggles off. You never know when the seal might give out. I check the camera screen. This will take careful aim, so I was very clever in making sure a camera could. The camera feed is dead. A pain in my wrist takes over and I pull it away. Yeah. Webcams aren't designed to work at 210 degrees Celsius and 29 atmospheres. And my solid steel box, well, it's solid steel. Steel is an excellent heat conductor. I can't even touch it now, it's so hot. I'm still stupid. First the Adrian sample container, and now this. I want to sleep, but Rocky is more important. At least being stupid isn't permanent. I'll press on. I know I shouldn't, but I'm too stupid to take that into consideration. Okay, the camera is dead. I can't see into the box, but I can still see Rocky in the airlock because the xenonite is clear. I'll have to work with what I've got here. I fire up the high-pressure pump. It still works, at least. It's making noise. It should be shooting a very high-pressure jet of air in Rocky's direction. At 29 atmospheres, air acts almost like water. You can really knock stuff around with it, but ammonia is clear, so I have no idea where it's going. I adjust the angle of the jet with the servo controls. Are they working? I have no idea. The pump is too loud for me to hear if the servos are doing anything. I sweep left and right, inching down and up in a pattern. Finally, I spot something. One of the levers in the airlock wiggles a bit. I zero in on it. It gets pushed back several inches. Gotcha, I say. Now I know where it's pointed. I do some guesswork and aim for Rocky's carapace vents. Nothing happens, so I do a grid search back and forth, up and down, until I get a result. And oh, what a result it is! I hit the sweet spot. All of a sudden, Rocky's carapace vents belch out black smoke. The nasty dust and debris that built up when he was on fire. It's intensely satisfying, like that feeling when you blast an air duster into an old computer. I sweep back and forth trying to hit each vent one by one. The latter vents don't cause nearly the commotion as that first one. I think they all lead to the same organ, like a human's mouth and nose do, multiple orifices for redundancy and safety. After a few minutes, no more sooty dust is coming out. I shut off the pump. Well, buddy, I say, I've done all I can. I just hope you can do the rest. I spend the rest of the day working on a secondary and tertiary containment box. I glue them in place over my device. The Iridian Air will have to breach 3 seals to get into my compartment now. That will have to do. I hope Rocky wakes up. Chapter 21. We can do this in private, I said. I can meet with you one at a time. The 3 astronauts sat on a couch in front of me. I'd commandeered the break room and locked the door for this meeting. Yao sat in the center, looking stern as always. Dubois was to his left, his back arched to provide perfect posture. Ilyukhina slouched to Yao's left, sipping a beer. No need for individual meetings, said Yao. There's no room on this mission for secrets. I shifted in my chair. Why did Strat send me to do this job? I'm not a people person, and I don't know how to approach delicate matters. She said something about the crew liking me more than anyone else. Why? Maybe I just seemed friendly and pleasant because I was usually standing next to Strat. In any event, launch was just a month away, and I had to get this information. Okay, I said. Who wants to go first? Dubois raised his hand. I can start, if that's amenable to everyone. Sure. I did a quick test scribble with my pen. So, how would you like to die? Yeah, awkward topic, but one that had to be covered. These 3 were going to give their lives just so the rest of us could have a fighting chance. The least we could do was help them die on their own terms. Dubois handed me a crisp piece of paper. I've detailed my request in this document. I believe you'll find everything in order. I took the paper. There were bullet points, charts, and some references at the bottom. What am I looking at here? Dubois pointed somewhere at the middle of the page. I would like to die by nitrogen asphyxiation. All my research shows it is among the least painful ways to die. I nodded and took some notes. That paper includes a list of the equipment I will need to ensure my death. It's well within my personal item mass allowance. I furrowed my brow, mostly to hide the fact that I had no idea what to say. He folded his hands on his lap. It's a simple matter of a nitrogen tank and a universal connector to the EVA suit. I can wear the suit and have it pump in nitrogen instead of oxygen. The suffocation reflex comes from excess carbon dioxide in the lungs, not lack of oxygen. The suit's systems will continuously remove the carbon dioxide that I exhale, leaving only nitrogen behind. I will simply get tired and perhaps a bit lightheaded. Then I will lose consciousness. All right. I tried to remain professional. How about if the EVA suit isn't available? Subsection 4 details the backup plan. If I cannot use the EVA suit, I will use the ship's airlock. The volume of the airlock will be sufficient to ensure the carbon dioxide buildup isn't unpleasant. Okay. I wrote a few more notes down, though I hardly had to. His paper was very thorough. We'll make sure there's a tank with plenty of nitrogen and a backup tank as well, just in case the first one leaks. Excellent. Thank you. I set the paper aside. Ilyushna, how about you? She set her beer down. I want heroin. Everyone looked at her. Even Yao blanched a little. Sorry, what? I said. Heroin, she shrugged. I have been good girl all my life. No drugs, limited sex. I want to experience massive pleasure before I die. People die from heroin all the time. Must be very nice. I rubbed my temples. You want to die from a heroin overdose? Not immediately, she said. I want to enjoy. Start with normal effective dose, get high. Addicts all agree first few uses are best. Then downhill from there. I want to feel those first few doses. Then overdose when time is right. I guess we can do that, I said. Death by overdose can be really unpleasant, though. She waved the concern away. Have doctors work out best dose schedule for me. Correct amount to maximize pleasantness on earlier doses. Then lethal dose can have other drugs inside to make sure I die without pain. I wrote down her request. Okay. Heroin. I don't know where we'll get it, but we'll work it out. You have entire world working for you, she said. Get pharma company to make me heroin cannot be hard. Right, I'm sure Strat can make a call or something. I sighed. 2 down, 1 to go. All right. Commander Yao, how about you? I want a gun, please, he said. A Type 92 handgun, standard Chinese military issue. Store the ammunition in a dry, sealed plastic container for the trip. At least that made some sense. Quick and painless. A gun. Got it. That's easy enough. He looked back and forth to his crewmates. I will be the last to die. If anything goes wrong with either of your methods, I will be on hand with the weapon, just in case. Very considerate, said Dubois. Thank you. Don't shoot me if I look like I'm having a good time, Ilyushna said. Understood, said Yao. He turned back to me. Will that be all? Yeah, I said, already standing. This has been very awkward. Thanks. I'm going to go be somewhere else now. I writhe on my bed. The burns on my arm hurt more than ever. The painkillers barely do anything. I'm beginning to wonder if I can find Ilyushna's heroin. I won't, but I definitely would if this were still a suicide mission. Focus on that. This is no longer a suicide mission. If I play my cards right, I save the world and go home. The pain subsides somewhat. It comes and goes. When I get a chance, I'll take a look at whatever books I have on burns. I'd at least like to know when it'll stop hurting. Tap. Huh? I mumble. Tap. I look at the source of the noise. It's Rocky tapping on the airlock wall. Rocky! I fall out of my bunk and roll onto my right side before landing. I scrabble along the floor to the airlock wall. "Rocky, buddy, are you okay?" I hear a low thrum from within him. "I don't understand. Speak louder." "Sick," he mumbles. "Yeah, you're sick. You came into my air. Of course you're sick. You almost died." He tries to lift himself from the floor, then slumps back down. "How I return here? Question." "I moved you." He taps the ground with a claw, annoyed. "You touch me air? Question." "A little, yeah." He points to my left arm. "Skin on arm is not smooth. Damage? Question." I guess he can see right through the bandages with his sonar. Must be pretty ugly under there. I kind of figured that would be the case, but now I know. "Yeah, but I'll be fine." "You damage self to save me. Thank." "You did the same thing. Is your radiator organ okay? You were on fire and got full of soot and oxides." "It healing." He points to the soot all along the wall and floor. "This come from inside me? Question." "Yes." "How it leave me? Question." I preen a little. Why shouldn't I? It was no easy task, and I got it done. I point to the now triply covered steel box on the airlock wall. "I made a device to blow air at you. I aimed at your radiator vents, and all that nasty stuff came out." He's quiet for a moment. Then, still a little wobbly, he says, "How long was that stuff inside me? Question." I run through the day in my mind. "About 2 days. "You almost kill me." "What? How? I blew all the soot out of your radiator." He shifts his weight a little. "Black substance is not soot. My body make this. It cover damage while body repairs." "Oh," I say. "Oh no. I didn't blow soot out of his radiator. I blew the scabs off his wounds. I'm so sorry. I was trying to help." "Is okay. If you did earlier, I die, but I heal enough before you do it. Removing help a little. Thank." I put my head in my hands. "Sorry," I say again. "No say sorry. You save me when you put me here. Thank, thank, thank." He tries to stand again, but only rises for a second before collapsing. "I am weak. I will heal." I step back and sit on my bunk. "Would you be more comfortable in 0G? I can turn off the centrifuge." "No. Gravity help heal." He adjusts his legs into sort of a bed for his carapace to rest on, probably a comfortable sleeping pose. "Sample container is safe? Question." "Yes, it's in the lab now. I made an Adrian environment in a sealed container and put some astrophage in along with the sample container. I'll see how it's doing in a bit." "Good," he says. "Human light sense very useful." "Thanks," I say. But my human brain wasn't as useful. I don't have a way to get the sample out of the container. He tilts his carapace slightly. "You seal sample and can no access sample? Question." "Yes." "Usually you not stupid. Why stupid? Question." "Humans are stupid when we need sleep and when we take medicine to stop pain. I'm tired and drugged right now." "You should sleep." I stand up. "I will in a bit, but first I have to stabilize our orbit. Our apogee and perigee are, well, it's not a good orbit." "Adjust orbit while stupid. Good plan." I snicker. New word. Sarcasm. You say opposite of true meaning to make point. Sarcasm. He chimes the word for sarcasm in his language. Between exhaustion and drugs, I sleep like a baby. I wake up feeling 1,000,000 times better, but my burns feel 1,000,000 times worse. I look at the bandages. They're new. Rocky is at his workbench tinkering with his tools. He's cleaned up his area. It looks good as new.
You are awake, question?
Yeah, I say. How are you feeling? Are you healing? He wiggles a claw.
Much more heal needed, but some heal complete. Cannot move much.
I plop my head back on the pillow. Same.
Robot arms do things to you arm while you sleep.
I point to the bandages. It changed the cloth. It's important for human healing to change the cloth. He pokes at his latest invention with various tools. What's that?
I go to lab to see device that store Adrian life. I made device now to collect sample from inside and not let you air in.
He holds up a large box.
Put you vacuum chamber in this. Close this. This make Adrian air inside.
He opens the top and points to a couple of hinged rods.
Control these from outside. Gather sample. Seal you device. Open my device. Have sample. Do human science with sample.
Smart, I say. Thanks. He gets back to work. I lie in my bunk. There are a bunch of things I want to do, but I need to take it slow. I can't risk another stupid day like yesterday. I almost ruined the sample and killed Rocky. I'm smart enough now to know I'm stupid. That's progress. Computer, coffee. After a minute, the arms hand me a cup of Java. Hey, I say, sipping my coffee. How come you and I hear the same sounds? He keeps working on the armatures inside his device.
Useful trait. Both evolve. Not surprising.
Yeah, but why the same frequencies? Why don't you hear much higher frequencies than I can? Or much lower?
I do hear much higher frequency and much lower frequency.
Didn't know that, but I should have figured that was the case. It's an Iridian's primary sensory input. Of course he'll have a wider range than I do. That still leaves one unanswered question, though. Okay, but why is there overlap? Why don't you and I hear completely different frequency ranges? He puts the tool in one of his hands down, which leaves two hands still plugging away on his device. With the newly free hand, he scrapes his workbench.
You hear this question?
Yes.
That is sound of predator approaching you. That is sound of prey running away. Sound of object touching object, very important. Evolve to hear.
Ah, yes. It's obvious now that he points it out. Voices, instruments, bird calls, whatever, they can all be wildly different sounds, but the sound of objects colliding isn't going to have much variance from planet to planet. If I bang two rocks together on Earth, they're going to make the same noise as if I bang them together on Arid. So we're all selected for by being able to hear it.
Better question,
he says.
Why we think same speed question.
I shift over to lie on my side. We don't think at the same speed. You do math way faster than I can, and you can remember things perfectly. Humans can't do that. Iridians are smarter. He grabs a new tool with his free hand and gets back to tinkering.
Math is not thinking. Math is procedure. Memory is not thinking. Memory is storage. Thinking is thinking. Problem, solution. You and me think same speed. Why? Question.
I ponder it for a while. It's a really good question. How come Rocky isn't 1,000 times smarter than me, or 1,000 times dumber? Well, I have a theory for why we're about the same intelligence, maybe.
Explain.
Intelligence evolves to give us an advantage over the other animals on our planet, but evolution is lazy. Once a problem is solved, the trait stops evolving. So you and me, we're both just intelligent enough to be smarter than our planet's other animals.
We are much smarter than animals.
We're as smart as evolution made us, so we're the minimum intelligence needed to ensure we can dominate our planets. He thinks it over.
I accept this. Still not explain why Earth intelligence evolves same level as arid intelligence.
Our intelligence is based on the animals' intelligences. So, what is animal intelligence based on? How smart do animals have to be?
Smart enough to identify threat or prey in time to act.
Yes, exactly, I say. But how long is that time? How long does an animal have to react? How long will the threat or prey take to kill the animal or escape? I think it's based on gravity.
Gravity question?
He sets the device down entirely. I've got his undivided attention. Yeah, think about it. Gravity is what determines how fast an animal can run. Higher gravity, more time spent in contact with the ground, faster movement. I think animal intelligence, ultimately, has to be faster than gravity.
Interesting theory,
Rocky says.
But arid have double Earth gravity. You and I same intelligence.
I sit up on my bed. I bet our gravities are so close to the same, astronomically, that the intelligence needed is almost the same. If we met a creature from a planet with 1/100th of Earth's gravity, I bet it would seem pretty stupid to us.
Possible,
he says. He gets back to work on his gadget.
Another similarity. You and me both willing to die for our people. Why question? Evolution hate death.
It's good for the species, I say. A self-sacrifice instinct makes the species as a whole more likely to continue.
Not all Iridians willing to die for others.
I chuckle. Not all humans either.
You and me are good people,
Rocky says. Yeah, I smile. I suppose we are. 9 days until launch. I paced around my room. It was pretty bare, but I didn't mind. The portable unit was a small mobile home complete with a kitchenette. Better than most people got. The Russians had their hands full erecting dozens of temporary shelters a few miles from Baikonur Cosmodrome. But then I guess we all had our hands full lately. Anyway, I'd barely used my bed since we'd arrived. There just always seemed to be some new issue or problem. Nothing major, just issues. The Hail Mary was complete. Over 2 million kilograms of spacecraft and fuel in a nice, stable orbit, 4 times the mass of the International Space Station, and put together in 1/20th the time. The press used to keep track of the total cost, but around the $10 trillion mark they gave up. It just didn't matter. It wasn't about efficient use of resources anymore. It was Earth versus astrophage, and no price was too high. ESA astronauts had been on the ship for the past few weeks, putting it through its paces. The test crew reported about 500 problems that we'd been mopping up for the past few weeks. None of them were showstoppers. This was happening. The Hail Mary was going to launch in 9 days. I sat at the table that served as my desk and shuffled through papers. I signed off on some and set others aside for Strat to look at tomorrow. How did I end up an administrator? We all had to accept changes to our lives, I guess. If this was my part to play, then so be it. I set the papers down and looked out the window. The Kazakhstani steppes were flat